Welcome to the Gabriel Method Show. I'm John Gabriel, author and creator of the Gabriel Method, a diet-free approach to sustained weight loss. And we're excited to be launching the premiere of Lose the Stress, Lose the Weight, Tapping for Weight Loss. And as part of the launch, I'm very pleased today to be joined by tapping expert Tina Marian. Tina Marian's been a registered nurse for 40 years, with the last 20 years working in the areas of psychiatric disorders and addictions. She became a certified holistic health coach after graduating from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in 2008. After being introduced to the idea of energy therapies and energy psychology, Tina was naturally drawn to the concept of healing in a more natural way. She learned EFT and started applying it in her nursing practice with tremendous results. Tina recently became one of Carol Look's 7 certified abundance life coaches. Her well-rounded background makes her uniquely qualified to help her clients achieve an ideal state of health so they can live at their best on all levels despite any emotional or health challenges. Tina writes a monthly e-newsletter that you can sign up for on her website, medicinmyway.us. That's medicinmyway.us. So Tina, thanks very much for joining us. You know, you've got a really interesting background. First as a nurse working with psychiatric issues and addiction. How did you get interested in being a holistic health coach and then tapping?
Well, I always knew something was missing from traditional Western medicine practice, and I started getting discouraged and disillusioned with the system probably around 10 years ago. But it was really in 2006 when I had my own set of problems. I needed something to help me with anxiety, and I knew nothing about tapping or law of attraction. And it was my own problem that got me seeking help online, and I landed on Gary Craig's website, and that was August of 2006. And I remember downloading his manual and reading it word for word, 87 pages long, and I thought, there has to be something to this. This man's an engineer, right?
Yeah.
So after I read the manual, I got an idea of how to apply it. I used it for my problem, and I got instantaneous results.
Yeah.
I went from intense anger to being able to accept something. And I was so fascinated by the way it worked, I was kind of taken in by it.
Mm-hmm.
I was taken in by EFT, and at the same time, somebody put a copy of The Secret in my hand.
Yeah.
And when I learned about law of attraction, EFT, January '07, Carol Look is down in Atlanta with Bob Doyle from The Secret. So that was my first exposure to the intensity and the value of this work. And I said, look, I'm a nurse. I have to help people with this.
Yeah.
How can I not bring this into a place where people are hurting and no one's addressing their emotional baggage? Everyone's trying to feel better, put Band-Aids on everything, and no one's getting better.
Right, right.
So I was very drawn into law of attraction work and Carol, and I started following Carol everywhere she went. Long story short, I became one of her certified coaches, which I'm so thrilled about. And I developed my own practice then. I became a holistic health counselor through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I finally found a path for me to have my own practice, one that helps people.
Excellent.
So I stayed within the hospital, though, for the first several years, because at the time, my administration was very supportive of alternative treatments. So I was doing EFT tapping groups for the patients in the partial program. I had doctors bringing patients to my door and saying, can you help her? I can't give her any more meds. She's going to kill herself. Can you help her?
Right.
And one by one, I became known as Tina the tapping nurse, and it was all very blessed off. And other practitioners said, wow, you're really lucky. We're not allowed to do that in our hospital. Well, the sad thing, and in the meantime, I started my own practice, and I see clients in my own home, and I do workshops, and I love teaching EFT. It's just in my blood. So we had a change of administration recently within the past 6 months, and they got rid of my boss who so supported the tapping. They got her out of the way. They came up with new policies that tapping would no longer be permitted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they took away the one thing that really kept me in the system.
It's amazing to me that they can make a policy that tapping's not allowed when there's so much research to support the fact that it helps reduce stress and cortisol levels. And there's no medication, there's no drugs, there's no side effects. There's no downside. Why would you go out of your way to make a policy to say it's not allowed when it's
Well, I think we both know kind of who rules
Yeah,
the medical industry.
yeah,
It's an industry,
yeah,
and it's run by big pharma,
yeah.
and they make a lot of money on people and their symptoms and
And they
pills.
don't make any
And
money on
I
tapping,
always I want to just
unfortunately,
say
for
that
them.
I never told my patients ever. I never said don't take your meds, do
Right,
this.
right,
What I
right,
said was if you could decrease your stress, maybe you won't need so much of that sleeping medication.
right.
Maybe you could lift your depression a little bit, but I never ever gave advice for them to not work with their
It's
doctor.
sad. It's really sad that it comes down to just dollars and that's it, and that a patient's best interest isn't at heart because there's no logical reason why you should not have you should have a policy that would say that something like this should not be allowed.
Absolutely.
When there's I have never read a single study, I don't know, have you, that shows any downside or side effect.
No.
In the meantime, doctors are prescribing medications for
Horrible.
for toe fungus that can cause kidney failure. So I mean,
Oh, listen to the
it doesn't add
commercials.
up. Yeah,
Listen
kidney
to the
failure, renal
commercials.
failure, heart failure. The disclaimers,
Absolutely.
they go
It's like
on and on.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
So I very much like was drawn into natural healing. I apply it to myself all the time. I try to work with my clients, look at themselves as a body, mind, spirit, whole
right,
being.
right,
We've kind of fragmented our medical system.
right,
We've turned people into systems. So your skeletal system, your intestinal system, your circulatory system, your respiratory system, your renal system. But what they fail to mention is that your energy system infiltrates every single one of your cells.
right.
And that's what we need to
And
focus
nobody
on.
looks at that. Nobody even acknowledges that we have this invisible energy, which is kind of ridiculous because obviously we've got some kind of life force energy. That's what makes us alive. I mean, the difference.
Hello?
You look at
We're all plugged
two
in.
bodies. One's alive and one's dead. The only difference is one's got life force and one doesn't.
Exactly.
It's just so
Exactly.
obvious.
So when you bring this truth to people, though, this is the fascinating thing.
Yeah,
When I would speak this truth in those programs, those little groups that I did, people would say, yeah, you're right. Like, how come no one ever tells us this stuff? But
right.
I just have to interject something that happened. Because of this new administration, they decided to get rid of the nurse, me, in the triage department. And after 10 years with this particular hospital, I was axed.
Yeah,
I was fired in
yeah,
December.
yeah,
But you want to know something? Probably the best thing that could have happened to me because I was so miserable there.
yeah.
And now doors are starting to open.
Sure.
So I do believe there is this universal life force that is benevolent, wants the best for us, and sign me up for whatever. I'm there.
So why do you think energy medicine and specifically tapping is so uniquely suited to effectively address emotional problems?
Because it goes to the root, it goes to the truth,
Yeah,
it goes to the place that we're trying to keep down.
yeah,
It goes to those fears, it goes to those dark, dark places, and instead of pushing it down further, energy psychology will put a light on it, will shine a light on it. Our biggest fears, it's like, trying to hold the beach ball under the water. We don't want to go to that guilt. We don't want to go to that
sure.
shame. We don't want to go to that resentment. But with the EFT, we put a voice to that. Somehow, crazy tapping and talking, it works. It
Yeah.
shifts. It moves energy.
So how do you use tapping with your clients who are struggling with addictions, cravings, food issues?
Any way I need to. I mean, I meet them where they're at. I try to identify through a rapport with them where they're at. I mean, people at different stages of self-loathing or willingness to go forward. Everybody's afraid. Everybody feels stuck. I work with them on all sorts of facets. When you talk about food and people's relationships with food, it's a big animal.
Yeah,
Food could be love. Food could be a punishment. Food could be a deprivation. One of the scripts I use is food was my best friend. How can I give it up?
yeah,
So there's a variety of ways you go in, and it's always individualized and it's never planned. It's just where they're at, what they need. Sometimes they do need to look at what they're putting on their plate.
sure,
But I've never had a patient who's come to me for weight loss who we weren't tapping on the emotional
of
components
course,
of it.
of course.
Never, ever, ever.
So can you lead us through a quick tapping sequence that helps deal with some of the emotional components to weight
Mhm.
loss and food issues?
Okay. You don't need to know the points, obviously, right?
Yeah, we know the points.
Okay. So I was thinking about what to tap on. There were different scripts in my mind, but I really think we have to address the fact that people who might have emotional eating issues or weight issues, you can't get away from the fact that they don't find themselves very acceptable where they're at.
Yeah.
They probably have a lot of self-loathing. I hate myself, the negative talk. How can I be there when I'm here? And all that stuff that goes with that,
Yeah.
with anything, dropping any kind of a habit. I want to be there. I don't like being here. And I truly believe until you can accept where you're at and stop the self-criticism and stop this negative talk and the berating, you can't move beyond because you're so stuck in that self-loathing. I had a client one time, 3 sessions with her. And at the 3rd session, and she came for weight loss, and she said to me, Tina, she said, I actually haven't lost any weight, but I don't hate myself anymore.
Yeah.
And that to me was worth every dime she spent, to not hate yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's common with anything we don't like about ourselves. We, the negative self, the criticism, putting ourselves down, feeling like a failure. So I'd like to just do a little round of, just, even though I can't accept myself where I'm at right now.
Oh, let's do it.
How does that sound?
Great.
Okay. So you're going to follow along?
Yep.
Okay. So even though I can't stand where I'm at,
I can't stand where I'm at,
I don't find myself acceptable,
I don't find myself acceptable,
I accept that I feel this way.
I accept that I feel this way.
Even though when I look in the mirror, I don't like what I see.
I don't like what I see.
And I can become very self-critical.
And I can become very self-critical.
And that makes me feel so sad.
And that makes me feel so sad.
And I deeply and profoundly accept that I have all these feelings.
And I deeply and profoundly accept that I have all these feelings.
Even though I feel like such a failure. I just can't get to where I want to be.
I just can't get to where I want to be.
I feel so frustrated. Sometimes I just want to give up. I deeply and profoundly accept that I have these feelings. These feelings are valid. And they're true. And they're mine. And I don't like myself. Not like this. I don't like looking in the mirror. I don't like being here. I can't accept myself. I feel unacceptable. How can I accept myself? I don't like what I see. My self-blame. All my self-criticism. The way I talk to myself. I'd never talk to anybody else that way. I would never talk to anyone else that way. I feel so harsh. I'm so harsh on myself. But I feel I deserve it. What if I don't deserve that? I have a good heart. I am kind. I do care for others. Why can't I extend that to myself? Not giving myself enough credit. All this self-blame. All this self-criticism. It's so harsh. I never thought about it. I just talk that way. But it sounds so harsh. I'm sorry. I apologize to myself. I apologize for hating you. I apologize for hating myself. It doesn't feel right. What if I could be kinder? What if I could just decide to accept myself where I'm at? Have that be okay. What if that's the first step? It's something I haven't been doing. What if I could just accept myself? Exactly where I'm at. And be okay with that. Just accept it. Maybe that's the first step. It's what I haven't done yet. I'm sorry to my body. I really apologize.
I really apologize.
I haven't been treating you fairly,
I have not been treating you fairly,
and I'd like to develop a new relationship.
and I'd like to develop a new relationship.
Instead of hating you,
Instead of hating you,
I want to start working with you
I want to start working with you.
together.
Together,
We can have a partnership.
we can have a partnership.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We will get there.
We will get there.
One day I will love myself
One day I will love myself
unconditionally.
unconditionally. I like that. That was very powerful.
I'm very passionate about this work.
Let me ask you a technical question, though. Most of the tapping experts that I work with, when they're tapping on the head, they're tapping on it. You looked like you were circulating around it. I haven't seen that before. Is that
Actually, I got that from Carol.
Carol?
Actually, when I first learned EFT via the unbelievable amounts of videos that I watched with Gary Craig, I'm not sure that it really matters.
Doesn't matter. As long as you're in that point, as long as you're touching those points.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the crown is there's a lot of meridians that come together
I
up
see.
on the top. So I think you
You're
get
getting a lot
better.
of places at once.
I don't really think it matters. I think intention,
Yeah.
tapping, talking.
Okay.
That's it. For me, when I really got it, it became more simple rather than complicated.
Got it.
It's just get to the emotion, set the intention, name your emotion, accept that it's there.
Right. So the tapping sequence that we just did, you recommend that people do that on a daily basis or whenever they're feeling it, or something that they work on first thing in the morning?
I have a lot of scripts that I've written for people. There's various opinions on having scripts.
Yeah.
But one of the things I hear all the time is, I got home, I wanted to tap, I didn't know what to say. So I have plenty of scripts that I give people. If I think it could suit them, I'll pull a script for them and I'll tell them to go through it, edit it. So if you don't have your irritable coworkers, maybe you're talking about your irritable husband. You can just take the basic structure of the script and at least get going with that and do it once a day, and then push yourself through. The I don't know what to say is a big is a big one. And I also tell them you don't have to say anything. In the beginning, I would just say, even though I'm feeling so crappy, I choose to be happy. I don't like the way I feel. I don't even know how I feel. I just don't feel right.
As long as basically what you're saying is, as long as you're taking the intention and tapping on the points, that combination is what works. Doesn't have to be perfect.
Exactly. No, it doesn't have to. And for someone who went to school and was taught everything has to be it's very liberating.
It's very liberating. That makes sense.
It's liberating. It makes sense. It works. No downside.
So, Tina, if we want to learn more about the work that you're doing and contact you, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, my website is www.medicinmyway.us.
.us.
medicinmyway.us.
Excellent.
And all my contact information is there. They can sign up for a newsletter. I write a great little monthly newsletter. I always try to keep it spiritually based and uplifting and give people hope and inspiration, because we don't hear those messages enough.
Yeah. No.
We just don't.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, Tina, I love the work that you're doing, and I
you.
love the fact
Me
that you come from this background, this very traditional background, and you've been able to recognize how important it is to break out of that and find alternatives that are holistic rather than invasive. So
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking your time and sharing your expertise with us. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take
care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. That was a really great tapping sequence to help us get to a place of self-love so that we can release all the shame, all the guilt, all the blame, and all the stress that can cause weight gain. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon. Take care.